Another debacle, the fury over flight delays blamed on these mandatory spending cuts. Congress just passing a bill today to give the FAA the flexibility to spend $250 million to keep flight controllers on the job. Now, the president says he's going to sign it, but didn't the White House have that flexibility all along? In other words, Mike Huckabee is saying you didn't have to go right to the top to cut controllers, but that's exactly what they did.
That's exactly what they did, because this was a manufactured crisis. They were supposed to cut 4%. They let go 10% of the flight controllers in the busiest airports in America. Not to small rural airports that probably wouldn't have seen the effect, but the busiest airspace in the country like New York and L.A. and the places where it was going to inflict the most damage. Why was that done? One can only surmise that it was done because it was a political stunt to say, you see, this sequestration is really, really dangerous. Even though other departments, like the Labor Department, structured theirs so employees would take their furloughs 4 hours at a time, would have no effect on operation.
In other words, there was much wider purview than was thought here.
Absolutely.
In fact, not also in prior budget deals that was granted, to say nothing of what Republicans offered. Now where are we going with this? Because bottom line, if we're taking back cuts, essentially, then the cuts we had, which were meager to begin with in the scheme of things, that doesn't inspire confidence for future cuts.
Well, it doesn't, except for the fact that I think it's shown the White House, I hope so, that you can't go out there and say something to the American people that on its face simply isn't credible. And people looked at that and said, you got to be kidding me. You're telling me that you're going to cut out tours of the White House and you're going to delay air traffic all over the country, but you can still fly around on Air Force One and do these campaign trips, and you can give out these grants for studies of things that don't make any sense to an American citizen. So I think this one rose up and bit the White House in the backside in a big way, and they had no choice but to stop the political bleeding. And it's an interesting thing. The example that Jay Carney used at the White House was, well, it's just a Band-Aid. Neil, I've cut myself making salads, but a Band-Aid stops the blood from getting into the salad and ruining dinner. So, you know, Band-Aids sometimes are not a bad thing. And so if this is a Band-Aid, good. Put it on the cut. At least we won't bleed in the salad.
You know, I've never cut myself making a salad because I've never made a salad.
My next salad I'm going to let you make for me.
Here's what is really weird to me. That if we had known ahead of sequestration, if it was spelled out, and we covered this very closely here, we spent a lot of time in Washington Live with this show, ahead of that, during that, after that, that among the planned cuts we're going to go right after air traffic controllers. We're planning to go right after beef inspectors, so we risk all eating Mr. Ed. Obviously, we would, if that would be too good as just a broadcaster for me not to put up there. Hey, guys, this goes through. We've got horses on our plates.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pass that up in a New York minute.
No.
But it was nowhere there. That's the reality. And I always tell people that was not there. Now, it was put on the plate after, but you can't sell it that way, fear after the fact. You just can't.
Well, and the Agriculture Department came back this very week. Tom Vilsack said, oh, the meat inspectors are okay. We've been able to preserve them. Look, the political consequences of hurting...
And why did they preserve them? Because they found out there were other areas to cut.
That, and they knew that people just weren't buying it, that was the only way they could somehow live with sequestration.
Well, I'm afraid, you know, you're making your next salad, but you can catch a governor doing that on his very fine show, Huckabee, 8 p.m. What do you got coming up?
Well, we're going to have Chris Crane, the ICE union president, who is part of an effort to sue Janet Napolitano. It's kind of unusual. A union official suing his boss over being told not to follow the law. We have a lot more, but that's going to be one of the, I think, fascinating pieces we'll have.
Just stirring the pot, aren't you? Just stirring the pot.
And the salad.
Okay, got you. All right, Governor, thank you very much.